Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Things Delivered. I'm Mary Thingvall. I'm the community manager here at SparkPost. And as we've said before, All Things Delivered is an opportunity for you to connect with us. You can talk to us live. You can tweet at us with the hashtag SparkPostLive or talk to us in our community Slack team as well. And it gives us a chance to talk to you and answer questions in a different type of environment, as well as get some virtual FaceTime with you so you can get to know us better. If you've missed our previous episodes, you can view them all in our YouTube playlist. We'll put the link in the show notes, but also you can find it at sparkpo.st/SparkPostLive. So today, I'd like our guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be discussing today. So Aydrian, how about you go first?
Sure. I'm Aydrian Howard. I'm the Developer Advocate for SparkPost.
Nichelle, what about you?
Hi, I'm Nichelle Frazier. I am a product manager for SparkPost. I work with the community to understand the needs of the market and then work with our engineers to incorporate those needs into our product.
And last up, we have Amie.
Hey, I'm Amie Durr. I'm the Vice President of Product here at SparkPost. Super excited to get to talk with everyone today.
Cool, thanks. So this week, if you haven't guessed it already, we're talking about community feedback, how we collect it, what we do with it, and how it plays into our roadmap. So let's jump right in. As we've said before, we love to hear about how you use our product, the good, the bad, the ugly, the glamorous, all sides, because it helps us continually improve SparkPost and thereby improve your experience. So one of the ways that we get this feedback is via our community Slack team. And we started the Slack team right after MailChimp and Mandrill announced their merger in February, which was a big moment for us. We had a huge swell in our users and in our community, and it launched a lot of things for us. So Amie, you were fairly involved with Slack and Twitter efforts right after their announcements. What was the experience like for you?
I think the best way to describe it is a fire hose. So as soon as we launched the community channel and really looking at Twitter and some of the other social networks as well, we were getting a ton of feedback. That feedback wasn't always about us. It was sometimes about our competitors or just people's frustrations or concerns. But for the first time, it was really a community of people talking about something that's not normally considered so sexy. So a lot of people were actually talking about email and how it impacts their daily work lives in sort of a technology standpoint, not necessarily like how many emails do I have to get through today. So that like fire hose of information for a product manager was amazing. It was probably the most exciting kind of period of my personal career, just because it was able to talk to so many people, able to really hear sort of the feedback and concerns and the temperature of like what was really going on. The community was really fun. It was real-time access to people. They were talking to one another. They were talking with us. We were talking late at night. So you got to know some of the people. You got to really forge relationships there. You got to understand their pains, really got to see different ways in which they were using our technology in ways that, you know, we can imagine a bunch of different ways that people use our things and where it might go and how they might use it, but to actually hear those things was pretty exceptional. So I have to say it was a lot of information, but it was exceptional to have that.
Absolutely. And Aydrian, you've been involved with the Slack team from the start, and you've probably logged the most hours in there out of all of us. So can you talk a little bit about how it was at first versus how it is now?
Sure. At first, it was pretty much all hands on deck. We were very lucky to have a lot of our engineers and a lot of employees jump in and help answer questions because we wanted to make sure nobody was left behind in the beginning. The big thank you to Same Room for helping us. A big thank you to Same Room for helping us connect our corporate Slack with our community Slack, which made it so easy for people to just jump in and answer questions. But since then, the community has really matured, and so we're able to kind of step back and watch as community members answer other community members' questions, and then have real conversations, and just jump in whenever we need to. So it's becoming a little bit more self-sustaining.
That's great, and you're still in there quite a bit. right?
Every day.
So I know a lot of times we're helping people with integrations, we're helping people with figuring out how to get started, we're referring people back to our documentation and stuff like that. What do we do with that feedback?
So we have a channel that's on our corporate Slack, and it's aptly named Community Feedback. Anytime I see anything that they're bringing up that could be changed, anything that could be improved, I basically copy and paste that into that channel. Same goes for any good feedback. So we also have a channel called Awesome Quotes. So anytime I see anybody really giving us some good props, I make sure that gets recorded in there too, because people all over the company look at this channel.
Yeah, that Awesome Quotes channel is especially good if you're having a rough day or you need a little encouragement. It's a lot of fun to go in there and see what everyone's saying.
It's true. A number of times I've been told how handsome I am. So it's official because the community members have said it.
That's right. That's right. And it's now recorded a couple times in a couple locations. So we're good. Yeah. So we also get feedback via our support team, as well as GitHub issues, social media, all sorts of things. So let's talk about those channels for a moment. Nichelle, how do we gather all of that feedback?
So with the support team, I regularly meet with them. I do it every other week, bi-weekly, and we sit down and we talk about the pain points that they're going through with customers, what comes up most regularly and how often it comes up. They keep a tally of how many calls come in about certain things, and they can reference back to that as we talk through some of the items that they're having many calls about. As far as the support channel, the customers that come through the support channel are slightly different than the customers that come through the Slack channel. So we make sure we can understand both of those concerns from those two different groups of customers and make sure we address them both equally and make sure everyone is covered and taken care of. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
This is a good time for me to remind you, if you are following along and listening live, you can go to Twitter and talk to us live at #SparkPostLive, and we can answer questions or interact with you that way too. So Aydrian, I know you're on GitHub and social media quite a bit as well. How do we interact with people and gather their feedback from those channels?
Sure. So for GitHub, we have a number of client libraries, and each client library has a maintainer. And so the maintainers are really kind of responsible for responding to PRs, to issues, things like that. We have them automatically pulled in to a channel on our corporate Slack for whenever people submit something, so we are notified right away. But we just we kind of address those as they come in, and we leave it up to the maintainer to either accept a PR or leave more feedback.
Very cool. So we've got feedback coming at us from all different directions, right? From Slack, from Twitter, from GitHub, our support team, all of these different places. What do we do with this feedback once we have it?
So from my standpoint, getting a lot of feedback is an awesome thing. Knowing what to do with it and how to prioritize it can be quite a challenge, simply because there's a ton of different people you're trying to serve at once. So we try to look at it of like, what problems are people really trying to solve, and are there general solutions that we can help them with? What can we bring to market faster? How can we solve things in an expedient way? So one example of that, especially back in the late winter, early spring, was people really needed us to have sub-accounts. And we had already been working on the sub-account functionality. It was a pretty big undertaking. It had always been our intention to be able to support that. But when we started seeing all these people come and have these questions, we full court pressed the entire engineering department to work solely on those things that were really critical needs. And we've done that a couple times since. So, it's really listening to see, like, how many people is this impacting? How many people can we help with this? Where else can we solve some of their problems for them?
And to add on to that, we also have a bi-weekly call or a meeting that we have with some of the executives in the company, including Amie, who is one of our executives. And so we meet with them regularly, and we go over the information we're getting from the support channels and information we're getting from social media and GitHub and the Slack channels, and we prioritize them together, looking at how many people are having this issue. Is it one person? Is it many people? If it is one person, how is it impacting that one person? Is it a very negative experience that maybe other people could have but are not calling in about? So we look at all those things together and discuss that as a group to decide how we just prioritize each item that we get through.
Very cool. I know one of the things that we've talked about before is roadmaps. And roadmaps used to be fairly traditional ways of tackling, like, here's our 3-month plan, here's our 6-month plan, here's our 2-year plan, right? The basics of what I've gathered in my year of being here is that that's difficult to maintain in an agile environment. And Amie, you're smiling already. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, you told me I wasn't allowed to cuss, so I'll have to phrase it a different way. But absolutely, we have strategic vision of where we want to go and the different types of things that we want to do. But that can really change. So what we had anticipated as an organization that we were going to focus on at the beginning of last year, pretty much full stop changed 2 months into the year when Mandrill and MailChimp made their announcement. And we had to pivot to really meet the needs of our customers, which we did and we were happy to do. And because we're set up in an agile way, we can make those shifts, even if they're very, very hard shifts, without too much distraction. So we certainly have roadmap, we certainly have strategic vision, both in terms of enhancing the features and the products that we currently have, as well as innovating and bringing new products to market. But there's always room to say, like, hey, this thing that we thought was important may not be working out in the way that we had intended it to be. The feedback from the community, in whatever way that we may capture that, maybe telling us that we didn't really hit it right the first time and we need to sort of change over to something else. Or maybe they're saying, yeah, keep going. So we take a lot of time to listen and make sure that we are continuing to go the right direction, because we don't want to just say, like, this is where we want to be in 12 months and just keep marching there without stopping and listening.
And that's huge, right? That's one of the things that I love about the ways that we approach things, is we really, really try to approach it as, what are the issues that our customers, that our community is facing? What are the issues that they're running into? How do we solve those problems for them? Which is important. And that's one of the things that I know Aydrian and you and I both talk to people about this at conferences and events that we're at. What are the problems that you're running into? What are the issues that you're facing? What are you looking for in an email service, right? So those are important things that we address as well. Aydrian, I know one of the reasons why we do hackathons is to get some of that feedback as well. Can you talk a little bit about some feedback that we get at events and at conferences and those conversations that we have with people there?
I think the hackathon is the biggest kind of feedback generator, because you have people using our service in real time. And if they have problems, they don't have to go to Slack. They can come right up to the table and talk to me or one of the engineers that we bring out to help mentor. Sometimes we're able to improve our kind of first-time user experience flow. Sometimes they bring out a problem with setting up sending domains that we never thought of before, because I'm pretty sure I can set up a sending domain in my sleep now. They've also been able to help us vet a lot of new features. So we had early on people using our Relay webhooks before they were even fully out there. Which was pretty cool. And I think that's been like the #1 hackathon kind of use case so far. But we have a lot of people who come up and they've come from another service, or they're thinking about coming from another service, and they just kind of ask us, how this is how we do things now. How can we do things there? And we try our best to walk them through it all.
Yeah.
I also had a few experiences where I would come to the vendor events and meet with the customers, and it was a great experience. I had a customer come up and talk to me about a situation they were having, and I didn't notice that situation was happening, and so I was able to come back to the engineers and push really hard on that one specific item that the customer needed, or problem we needed to resolve, and really get that push through, and to know that our customers are actually looking for this and asking for it. So it helps a lot as a product manager to sit through those vendor events as well.
I think for me, sort of the most exciting part of this is, SparkPost is relatively new, but as an organization, Message Systems, the company that its parent company to SparkPost, has been around for going on 15 years, actually 16 years now. And so the work that we did in an on-premise, like enterprise world, sort of monolithic. It was very old school in terms of everyone that was part of that knew the email-centric world. And we get to talk to a lot of people that email really isn't core to their business, but it's important that they get it right, and they don't want to have to spend a lot of time figuring it all out. And so talking to people that have, that aren't necessarily from the email world and are doing a bunch of really other new, exciting, different things, and how we can help them solve problems that are different than the problems we've been trying to solve for the last 16 years is really fun.
It is a lot of fun. And that's one of the things that I love about SparkPost too, is that's the feedback that we bring from our conversations with customers, the feedback that we bring from Slack and all of those places. People listen and respond and act on that feedback and actively solicit that feedback as well, which I think is huge. One of my favorite stories still is I had sent out an email with some feedback from a few events that we had been at, and our VP of growth at the time, he's now our CMO, had come up to me a couple weeks after that and said, "Hey, that email was great. I loved the feedback. When are you sending another one?" I was like, "Well, we haven't had more events since then." "Well, okay, but when do we get more feedback?" So the fact that people are not only open to accepting it, but are eagerly awaiting it is huge.
Right. I also like to mention the fact that a lot of times we will hear from a customer, hear something that is a problem, and we're not against, as a product management team, to reaching out to that customer and giving them a call specifically and talking through that issue to understand where that pain point is from their use cases. And so we like to get on the phone and call different customers at different times, depending on the situation, to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely. Well, cool. Let's do one more around the table and wrap it up. Can each of you tell me your favorite part of being involved in community-related activities and conversations? Could be anecdotal, it could be a good takeaway, it could be just what you enjoy the most about that role. Aydrian, we'll start with you.
Well, lucky me, this is actually my job. So I really enjoy going out there and talking to people. Ask anybody. I love hackathons, so I love when we sponsor hackathons. Look for a nice blog post wrapping up our whole year of hackathons coming soon. But just being able to mentor and help people using our service and kind of take them in a direction to help them use it in a new and exciting way. That's what I really love.
Cool. Nichelle, what about you?
Sure. Finding out what is most important to the customer. That's what I like to hear the most. And sometimes finding out what is not important to the customer is just as important. So something we have high on the roadmap and we think it's something that customers really want. And then we talk to the customer and they're like, we don't really care about that at all. So it's nice to get that feedback and understand what is important and what is not so that we can prioritize appropriately. There have been times where, I come with this list of items that we really want to get these things done. And I hear from that customer like, nope, we don't care about that. We don't use that. So we can move on and do something more important to help these customers. And if we hear it enough times, we know that that's not something that we need to put high up in the list. Just getting to know the community, know how they use the product. And, each person uses it different. We may have a school that uses it where they send out newsletters in advance for the next month to come using our scheduled send feature, or some people just use it ad hoc, when they just want to send emails at the time. So, we need to know what that difference is and how they use that different service, and so we know how to build a service in an appropriate way for them.
Definitely. Amie, what about you?
I think, so one of the phrases that is commonly used around here is terminal honesty, which in some regards can be good, and some regards is not the thing that you want most. So I think the internet is full of people who are terminally honest. Some of them maybe a little bit too honest, and it can seem brutal, but it's fantastic. Like really to get that sort of really honest feedback, the frustration, really feeling like, okay, I know this is a pain in your butt and how much it is, because I can feel it, I can hear it in your tone. And even better than getting that feedback is when you can help someone get beyond that and switch from being somebody who's frustrated to somebody who's like really on your side and advocating for you. So I think one of my favorite moments of this year was there was someone who's a member of our community, was really vocal, was having some challenges, but was also really helpful to other people that were in the community that were asking questions. And he was just beating up against something that was sort of internal process challenged. So I got on the phone and I called him, and he was in Australia, and I called him at like it was 11 p.m. at night our time, and it went so well. And just being able to like really be able to communicate one-on-one with someone, taking it from, the online experience to really building that relationship was pretty fantastic. But without having the community, without having these ways for people to reach out to us and for us to really see what's going on, it becomes really difficult to know what path to go. So I think that's the best part, really getting honest feedback.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. One of my favorite things is seeing our changelog that we post every Friday in the community Slack, and seeing the reactions, the emoji reactions that people leave on those. You can really see.
I completely forgot to include that one. I love that as well.
Yep. So you can really see how excited people are about particular features that we released or things that we fixed based on the reactions that they leave, which is always awesome. So anyways, well, we're going to wrap up, but thanks so much for joining us today. And thanks so much for your commitment to the community and to following through on the feedback that we get from them. And to our community, as always, we are open to hearing your feedback. We want to hear your feedback. So tweet at us, use hashtag SparkPost Live, or just tweet to SparkPost or SparkPost Dev. Join us on Slack at slack.sparkpost.com and let us know what you think and what problems you're running into and how we can help you. We'll have more of these in the new year. We haven't come up with our new topics yet. So if there's specific topics that you want us to address, let us know that as well. And we will talk to you all soon. Thanks so much.